Hey guys, Jesse here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Master Grade Gundam Exia Ignition Mode. Now, there's probably a small subset of you going, oh god, not this thing, but since I'll be building the MG Double Riser soon, I thought it'd be kind of cool to take a look at one of my older builds, and decide to pull out the Exia since, well, I know the frame is pretty much exactly the same for the Double Riser, so I'm just sort of getting myself in the mood to build that kit. But in any case, yeah, for many of us when this released, it was quite the disappointment, especially for me because this is my favorite design from the Double O series. And to be honest, there's not many designs in that show that I like, but the Exia really struck home for me. I think it's a really, really good design, and it's very classic. I think it's universally recognized at this point. So the fact that this kit is disappointing for very strange reasons that we'll get to. They don't really make a lot of sense, but I'll try to explain further when I get to the disappointments of this kit. But in any case, again, kind of wish this was better when it came out. But let's just go ahead and take a look at it. We'll start with what I did on it. This is one of my older weathering jobs. As you can see, I just did like a black dry brush with some silver dry brushing and some Tamiya weathering pastels. Just a light weathering job. I think it came out really nice, actually. It looks pretty realistic. Just really nice. And it looks really nice standing at the topmost shelf on my display, looking up at it. It looks really realistic and kind of impressive. Just standing there, which is pretty much all I can do, but we'll get to that. But in any case, in terms of the looks, this is pretty much the perfect representation of the Exia, in my opinion. I haven't built the perfect grade, nor have I seen it in real life, but the 1/60th like non-grade, big scale or whatever it's called, Exia just doesn't have enough detail to compare to this master grade. This is really, the details on this thing are amazing. In each green part, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but the designation of the suit is actually like etched into the green parts, as you can see. And so on the chest, like that classic Gundam Exia celestial being sort of thing being lit up in the chest is there. Just all the color separation and the details on the lining and stuff are amazing. It also comes with like these holographic pieces, which I accidentally top coated, but to be honest, it does look kind of interesting and cool. But yeah, they're not supposed to look like that, but they are holographic. Kind of hard to see since I accidentally top coated them a while back. But anyways, the looks of this kit are great, and to complement the looks, you actually get an LED. Well, you get 2 LED units. I only have batteries for one. I'm getting more in the mail soon, but the GN drive comes out really easily, and it's pretty detailed itself. As you can see, it has some chrome in there to look like the drive. But you turn this, and my LED seems to be a little messed up. I can't tell if it's the batteries or the LED, but you plug that back in, and now the chest lights up very bright. Looks very impressive, and off screen you can actually read what's that supposed to say. So it's very cool. And if you have another LED unit, it'll glow out the back of the drive here. So very neat feature. Kind of wish they somehow incorporated that to light up the eyes like the Double O Riser has, but you know, we have it where it's important, which is right in the chest. Very iconic. And so for the build of this kit, it's been a while since I built it, so I can't remember everything, but I do remember it being a very fun build. The chest is very interesting. The legs are very interesting. It's kind of strange. All the different grades of Double O suits seem to be built very similarly, from non-grades, high grades, all the way to like perfect grades and such. So if you built the high grade Exia or the non-grade Exia, then the master grade is pretty similar, just kind of with more pieces. I know one thing I remember distinctly is the pegs on the arms coming from the torso are too long. Bandai sometimes tends to do that, and so I had to trim those to make the arms sit more closely to the body. Before they were sticking out pretty far, like almost about half its distance now. So I don't know what they were thinking there, but the pegs are just too long for the polycap, so just trim those a bit, and then it'll look a lot better. Now we move on to the disappointment of this kit, and again, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but just hear me out. This kit simply has too much articulation. Everything on this kit moves. So you can see this whole chest piece moves. This like flap here moves. All of this moves. The head is probably the most stable part, but the legs are just far too maneuverable, and it's very like difficult to get this guy into a pose that looks sort of natural, because as soon as you plop it down and you get into a pose you like, and or if you get in an action base, things start to collapse on themselves because it just can't handle the weight of certain things. Mine's a little better because it's been top coated and stuff, so the joints are a little stiffer, but the feet here are just, I don't know if you can just listen to it. It's just creaking all over the place because so many things are moving. But the feet, it's kind of interesting. It can't really, the feet don't really stay flat on the ground, if that makes sense. The heel always seems to be up higher. So you can see it's there's something weird going on there. And I've read other people have had this problem, but as you can see, the feet are really loose. Just the wrists are pretty bad. So you can see it doesn't look bad right now because I was able to pop it back on, but as soon as I start maneuvering it to get a weapon in there, these wrists tend to pop out, and then it's really hard to get them back in because the wrists are so loose from maneuverability that the part that clips in for the wrist is just really hard to clip back on. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you have the kit, you probably know. It's as simple as that. The torso can go side to side, but I sort of top coated that before assembling it, so it's pretty stiff on there, which is good because it helps with the stability of this guy when he's holding heavy stuff. But yeah, these have become really loose, so you can see, just because this moves in all different directions. I can't really get these to stay up for too long. Eventually, they just fall down. I think, yeah, this one's pretty done. So trying to get him into a suitable action pose, either on the ground or in the air, is just very awkward. And for some reason, he never looks natural doing anything, which is weird. Standing there is about the best you're going to get in terms of looks. And because of that, there's not going to be any spinning base shots at the end of this review. I remember building this guy and trying to get him into a pose to put on my shelf and just being endlessly frustrated. So I'm not going to torture myself this time. So we'll just move on to the accessories before I go on too long about the articulation. So to start off, we've got the GN sword here. Can't remember, this is the GN sword one, but you get all chrome pieces with the ignition mode. I think with the regular release, they're not chrome. I think they're just white, which is really disappointing, but in any case, they're chrome here. I'm actually top coated this chrome just to see what it would look like, and it looks cool. Like, I'm going to be doing this from now on when it comes to chrome. Looks like it's a brushed metal or something. But in any case, yeah, this is a very cool weapon. You also get chrome for the barrel here. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get into his arm because it has to clip onto the arm and then he has to hold his handle, and fiddling with his amount of articulation is, well, sure you can imagine. But this can flip forward, and the sword, if I recall, if I can remember how this works, let's see, something like this. Yep. So now the sword, it's sort of in sword mode rather than gun mode. So very cool weapon. Oh yeah, and he can, now I remember, he can hold it like this to like slash down, or can have it in a stabbing position. But yeah, I've always loved the GN sword in any variation from the 00 series. Next we have the GN shield, and I just remembered this is the greatest thing about 00. Anything, if you want anything to be a little more powerful, just put GN behind it. GN shield, GN sword, fucking GN toaster. No matter what you put, no matter what you have, as long as you put GN before it, it is automatically better. But anyways, here's the GN shield. This just goes on the front of the arm, which is pretty interesting. And it can only go onto the side, not onto the back or anything like that. So, but cool weapon. Doesn't really do anything besides be a shield. And next we have some of the accessories I'm not super fond of. We have the, what are these? I think this is the GN Sword 1 and 2, right? But as you can see, they're chrome bladed. I think, again, they come white in the regular release, but yeah, these weapons aren't all that interesting, and he has trouble holding them because the socket here for the peg is really, really shallow. But he can hold them on the, or he can store them on the side of his skirt armor. But you have to pull out this little like circular part, and it's a big pain to get them out, and it's a big pain to put these in. So no real point in storing these, to be honest. But if you're a fan of these weapons, it is very cool that they come chromed. Next, we have some beam saber effect parts. You have 2 long ones and 2 short ones, because as we know, he has like these throwing like knives, or throwing beam sabers. I don't know how to explain them, but yeah, so you have 2 short ones and these 2 long ones. I will say I don't use these, so if I were you, I would keep these around because the tips of these make a really good spudger for water slide decals, for like maneuvering and positioning water slide decals. So yeah, that's like the perfect shape for that, and that's what I use this particular one for. Then you get this little cap thing to put on the back in case you don't want the GN drive in there for whatever reason. But yeah, you can do that. You get this little holder thing to put the GN drive in when it's not in the Gundam, to sort of simulate it being loaded or something. It's very strange. This is also included in like the GNX and probably the 00 Riser. I don't know yet, but yeah, kind of a weird piece to include. You get an action base adapter, and you get this thing. What is this? What is this thing? I think this is like a little robot or something that was in the show. It's been a long time since I've seen 00. I think this is like a little robot or something that helps repair the Exia or something. Very weird inclusion, but there it is. You also get a small Setsuna, but I don't have that on me right now. I almost forgot to mention the repair mode parts. So with the ignition mode, you actually get parts to make the Exia repair. But I don't have those because I gave them away to someone who would put them to better use than I would. Yeah, I wasn't planning to display him in repair, in Exia repair. So some guy wanted the pieces. I just gave them to him. I would really like to make an Exia repair, but I think I would do it at like the RG. I'd probably use the RG line to make an Exia repair. But in any case, I do have the manual here to show off what it would look like. You get the cape, an extra face piece, and the broken up sword. Aside from that, making the Exia repair basically involves just removing one side of the armor. This one is actually going a little bit further. For some reason, they removed the entire leg and shoulder and stuff, probably to show off the inner frame, but let's see if we can find. Yeah, here are some of the runners. You can see there's the cape. Basically, all the repair parts came on one plate here. You've got parts for that sword and the head and the broken V-fin and so on and so forth. So yeah, pretty cool that you get to you have the choice to make either or. But in terms of Exia repair, I think if I ever want to make one, I'd either do it as a high grade or a real grade. But yeah, that's it. That's all you get with the kit. The accessories go on there fine when you get them on, but it's getting them on that's the problem. Well, except for the beam sabers, those work just fine. But for the GN sword and gun and GN shield and GN everything, it can just sort of be a pain. But yeah, for me, it just standing there looks really great, and the paint job I gave to it just sort of accentuates that. But yeah, in terms of everything else, if you want to get into any other sort of interesting pose, it's just going to be a pain. As you can see, he's leaning over, and yet he's so light in sleek, and yet he's having problems standing. But yeah, basically a really, really great kit, a great looking kit standing, and nothing else. Because once you get his arm up to hold this sword out in a stabbing pose, which was my original pose I had in mind to display, his arm just sort of falls over, and then his torso starts to lean that way, and then his legs start to droop down, and yeah, it's just a mess. If you have other experiences with him, please feel free to comment down below. But for me, I'm happy with him just standing there. I don't think it's a bad kit by any means. Just don't expect to be playing around with him too much, because you will find that things just always get out of place and will never stay in place when you've got them in place. And that seems stuck. Okay, there we go. Got it. In any case, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye.